You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Get fired up, Rebel fans. Caleb Cunningham has flipped his commitment from the Alabama Crimson Tide to the Ole Miss Rebels. This is the number one player in the state of Mississippi, a top priority for the Ole Miss Rebels, and Ole Miss got him just 3 weeks before signing day. So that is really good to see. Hello, I'm Steven Willis from the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, and this is a big, big move. Ole Miss just continues to move their momentum needle over and over after that huge Georgia demolition over the weekend, and I couldn't be more excited. Caleb Cunningham stormed the field after the game. All the recruits apparently had a really great time. Ole Miss got Zion Legree. Ole Miss got Dante Core off of that weekend already. Now you got a 5-star, somebody that is going to be at the Under Armour All-American game. Much like me, I will be at that game as well. So I will get to talk to Caleb Cunningham that week, but we'll get to see somebody that is supremely talented, ready to go, that could be the centerpiece of an offense that features Austin Simmons and Aiden Williams and Caden Lee next year. This Ole Miss offense has a chance to be young, but really good next season. I'm already getting questions in the chat about Deuce Knight. Listen, this is what I think about Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight is a generational quarterback. He's a great quarterback. Austin Simmons' performance against Georgia in that series as a redshirt freshman probably didn't help Ole Miss with Deuce Knight the same way that it did Caleb Cunningham, because I think that drive from Simmons is a large part of the reason why Ole Miss got Caleb Cunningham. When you see him drive the ball down the field like that, when you see him calmly step in with all of the physical tools, you're like, hey, well, there's my quarterback. Because everybody, and I'm dead serious about this, everybody has been recruiting against Ole Miss with Caleb Cunningham, saying, well, after Jackson Dart leaves, who's going to be the guy? What's going to happen? Who's going to throw you the ball? They don't have anybody to get you the ball. After Jackson Dart leaves, sure, they're putting up all these numbers now. Who's going to be the next quarterback? Well, we got the answer to that right now. Austin Simmons is the next quarterback, and this is an unbelievable time to be an Ole Miss Rebel. It's absolutely awesome. I hope everybody is enjoying all of this momentum that is being gathered right now from the Ole Miss Rebels. This is everything you can dream of. We're sitting here talking about playoffs. We're sitting here talking about recruiting. The transfer portal is getting ready to open up as well. And we're going to talk about several receivers in the future that Ole Miss is liable going to bring in the transfer portal. I think we're looking at a situation where Ole Miss is just simply ready to retool. They've got the key components of their offense in place. They've got a nice nucleus on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, even though stars might be going off after this season, after this playoff run. Whenever you're wondering who is next, you've got a nice little nucleus that is developed as who might be next. Key thing is, I think this is the third straight year that Mississippi has had a 5-star player that was number one in the state that has either committed or signed with Ole Miss, with Caleb Cunningham, Cam Franklin, and Suntarine Perkins. I think the year that they got Perkins, they also got Aiden Williams. So Ole Miss has been doing some work in state in recruiting. They've just been doing some work. And this is unbelievably huge. I don't think people realize. The weird thing about it is the transfer portal is always going to be a large piece of Ole Miss's offense. It just is. It's going to be a large piece of the offense for Ole Miss. But in 2025, it's setting up to be a heavy homegrown high school recruiting skill position class. Listen to this. This is pretty cool. At running back, Shakai Mills-Knight is probably going to get carries next season. In fact, I would be surprised if he didn't get carries next season. You got Austin Simmons at quarterback. Both of those are high school recruits. You have Aiden Williams, who's likely going to be an outside wide receiver as well. You're bringing in a Caleb Cunningham, who is going to start day one at Ole Miss. Everybody's going to say if he can pick up the playbook, he's going to start day one. Caden Lee is a high school recruit. Obviously, there's some high school recruits that have been picked up on the offensive line. This is going to be one of the most homegrown teams that Ole Miss has had in recent memory. So we'll see exactly how it goes. Caleb Cunningham's a massive, massive piece, though, for Ole Miss. He is the guy that whenever this recruiting class happened, and I had Brian Smith on the show multiple times, I always talked about Caleb Cunningham and what he could bring and how talented he was. Last season, I made no bones about it. Okay, nothing. There's 3 wide receivers last year, and Braylon Burnside went to the Under Armour All-American game. I saw him down here on Orlando. And I was like, none of these receivers that are coming out this year were as good as Aiden Williams. Aiden Williams is a really good player. He played in the Under Armour All-American game as well. But Caleb Cunningham is the best wide receiver to come out of Mississippi probably since AJ and DK, since that class. I mean, Deion Smith hasn't done anything at the college level, so I can't put him in that category. He obviously has the talent to do it. But going back to probably AJ, Caleb Cunningham is a really, really big-time player. So we'll see exactly what's up. Anyway, so Game Time is your place to get your Ole Miss tickets with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from receipts, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Ole Miss tickets. You know, they have views from every seat in the venue, period. They have the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. Take the guesswork out of buying Ole Miss tickets with Game Time. And with this being the most anticipated season in Ole Miss history, I might even be able to help you out with tickets as well. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And have y'all ever heard of the South's favorite pickle? I'm talking about Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles, of course. If you don't think you like pickles, it's probably because you have not tried these yet. These pickles are so fresh and crunchy, just the right amount of Cajun kick to keep you coming back for more. And they're not just delicious, they're also handmade by a family-owned company on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. So every bite is packed with authentic Southern flavor. But Stewart's doesn't stop at just pickles. They've got pickled green beans, okra, carrots, asparagus too. They're perfect for spicing up your snack game. You can find these amazing products at Rouse's, Sullivan's, Corner Market down in Hattiesburg, and even some Winn-Dixies along the Gulf Coast. Or if you prefer shopping online, head to thepicklestore.com. Make sure to give them a like and a follow on Facebook and Instagram. And when you shop local and try these pickles, I guarantee you will not be disappointed. Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles, the South's favorite pickle. This is a big moment. We're going to get into the chat real quick. Everybody's celebrating that Caleb Cunningham has flipped his commitment from the Alabama Crimson Tide to the Ole Miss Rebels. Caleb Cunningham he was at the Oklahoma game. He came back for the Georgia game. That was an absolutely nuts game. And we'll see what's up. So let's go into the chat and see what's going on right now. James Mendoza, any chance Deuce Knight flips too? I think there's a chance because if you see Austin Simmons out there left-handed zipping the ball around making plays, it's pretty easy to visualize yourself in those shoes because you are a big left-handed quarterback as well. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Let's see. David Jackson says, so big. I have to think that Simmons' performance helped. Yeah, I think that drive by Austin Simmons is what secured Caleb Cunningham. That was the thing that did it. It's like, okay, this guy's good. Yes, I want to catch passes from him right there. Jacob Holloway, Deuce won't flip because quarterback is probably not something we'll be spending more money on. We already has that position filled. And with two pretty good quarterbacks at Ole Miss, those are large line item money positions at quarterback. You can build your team up in other places because you have that one covered. That's pretty cool, honestly. Somebody says, got to pay Simmons now as well. Yeah, that drive probably earned him a little bit extra money. Carlos says, unbelievable time to be an Ole Miss fan. Wow, exactly. Somebody says, James Thomas says, Simmons to Cunningham, LFG. Carlos says, flip Deer now and will be a serious problem with Deer, Simmons, Caleb, and Aiden. Do not forget about Shakai Mills-Knight. Do not forget about Shakai Mills-Knight. He running back. He's 220 pounds. He's built really similar to what Quinshon was. He's a really good running back as well. Deuce quote tweeted Hayes Fawcett's post about Caleb was said, "Okay, brother." And hey, if Deuce Knight commits to Ole Miss, I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, but I know that he has a really good offer at Auburn. Auburn knew he was at Ole Miss over the weekend. Now he was in Ole Miss gear at the game. So we'll see exactly how that goes. But Deuce Knight, it would not surprise me if he flipped, but it's not something I'm expecting as well, if that makes sense. Tyler Dodson says, nice, getting Simmons set up nicely. Yeah, the offense for 2025 is looking pretty fantastic at the moment. John Lynch says, why is Deere going to Alabama? He knows good running backs can explode at Ole Miss. There's still 3 weeks left until signing day. I guess call it declaration day or whatever, because there's no national letter of intent anymore. So we'll see what's going to happen. Deere not coming to Georgia. That's kind of a, pay attention to that. They say follow the visits. That's a game that Deere probably everybody expected him to show up for, and he did not arrive on campus. Kai Mills-Knight is the dude at running back. Matthew Mitchell says, exactly, John. Look what Lane can do with a certain 3-star out of Pike Road, Alabama. Not so veiled thing. Does Daquan Wright have another year? I believe he does have another year, actually. I believe you can expect on Daquan Wright to come back. Randy Cross says, next season, Ole Miss is going to be just fine with all these weapons Simmons is going to have on offense. John Lynch says, no way we get Deuce. He wants to play early, and Austin is a superstar. Yeah, Austin Simmons playing as well as he did, that probably actually hurt Ole Miss with Deuce Knight. If we're going to be honest about it, Austin Simmons playing like he did as a redshirt freshman probably spooked him a little bit. And I talked with Bill Flowers in a show that's going to air a little bit later on tonight. And that Austin Simmons drive, I was trying to think of what that made me feel like. That feeling that when Austin Simmons came in and led that touchdown drive after the interception and the touchdown and Jackson Dart going to the tunnel, that deflated feeling. And then Austin Simmons does that. I was like, what does that make me think of? Well, it makes me think of December 28th, 2000. It was a Music City Eli ball. It was that was the same feeling when Eli came in and started slinging the ball around. That was the feeling I had when Austin Simmons went off in this game and settled that game down. And I am absolutely convinced that Caleb Cunningham saw that as well. That one guy says, does Juice Wells have another year, or do you think he's going to the draft? I'm expecting draft. I do not know if he has another year. Eligibility right now, who the heck knows? But I would not be surprised if he went into the draft next year. Caleb James says, what a time to be a Rebel. I think it'll be Ole Miss and Oregon or Ohio State in the Natty this year. Randy Cross said that. It depends on the draw. It depends on what happens over the next 3 weeks. Tomorrow on the podcast, we talk about basically how Auburn is the key for Ole Miss hosting in the playoffs. If Ole Miss wins its last 2 games, it's going to be very high up and counting on Auburn and counting on Hugh Freeze for Ole Miss to get to where they want to go. And I'll explain that in tomorrow's show as well. Yeah, I thought so. Curious he decides to stay another year. That's obviously about Juice Wells. Love our first round DT recruiting for us anyway. Yes, absolutely. Y'all think Aiden stays? I don't know why Aiden would leave. He's going to walk in and be the dude next year. Trey Harris is going to be gone. That's the whole problem for Aiden Williams has been that Trey Harris has been on the field as a dominant person. And whenever Ole Miss, when Trey came off the field, they just didn't put another person in that position because the way the wide receiver room works at Ole Miss, they just number it 1 through 10 or whatever. And whatever the top 3 names that are available on that list are the 3 that play. Or sometimes they go 12 personnel, which they did a lot against Georgia, which they did a lot against Oklahoma. So that is taking reps away from Aiden Williams. But I don't think Aiden Williams is going anywhere. What's the biggest thing Kiffin needs to work on these next 2 weeks? I think Kiffin probably in the trenches. The trenches might be something to look at. Chad Story says, I think Aiden does stay. He will have an opportunity to step up next year. He has a chance to be Trey Harris next year, honestly. Let's see. Rebel 1. I think Kiffin will lead it to elite status and hotty toddy. See, looking at the comment section right now. For everyone that's complaining that rushing the field got UGA $350 out of our pocket, rushing the field has had an impact on recruiting battles that it's usually positive. I will take a guess at this. The NIL bill that Ole Miss is going to pay for Caleb Cunningham is greater than $350,000. I'm pretty fair thinking that, just as a guess. So we'll see exactly what it goes. Should be pretty fantastic. Anyway, whenever we come back, we'll continue in the comments and talk a little bit for a couple more minutes. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because with right now, new customers can get $5, bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. This will be a fun week to sports bet with the potential Georgia revenge tour on the horizon. And Texas also going to Arkansas in an old Southwest Conference battle as a new conference foes rekindle that. I'm looking forward to that game as well. It should be a lot of fun. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view latest play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. So, Ole Miss came in last night, just real quick, some thoughts, at number 11 in the college football playoff poll. I figured they would be somewhere between 10 and 12, and they were fairly in it. The first team out was Georgia. Georgia beating Tennessee means that both are going to move up. Georgia cannot beat Tennessee and move over Ole Miss, not getting beat by 18 points like they did in such a quick turnaround time. So if Georgia beats Tennessee, Georgia might move up to 10, but that means Ole Miss moves up to 9. I think Ole Miss is just guaranteed to be one spot ahead of Georgia for this whole thing until Georgia loses a game or until Ole Miss loses a game. So we'll see. I think Ole Miss has a chance to move up a good bit when Ohio State beats Indiana, because I think they will. If Ohio State really beats Indiana, Indiana might fall completely out of the playoff rankings, even at 11-1, because they haven't played anybody. And if Ohio State takes a loss, that'll be their second loss. They could fall behind Georgia and Ole Miss as well. So there's a lot of interesting stuff over the next couple of weeks. And then there's that Texas A&M Texas game that has a chance to be exactly what the Ole Miss Georgia game was. That game at Kyle Field is going to be an absolute cauldron. And that's one of the reasons that this Arkansas Texas game is so huge, because I think Texas has a very real chance to lose that game, but they also have a chance to completely lose their season against the Arkansas Razorbacks on Saturday. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick live stream. Brave Red said, Simmons just tweeted, we got him. He's already winning recruits. And Blake Glover says it's just the start of this dynasty that is slowly starting to pick up steam. The momentum is really good. Anyway, tonight we're going to have Bill Flowers and the Hands team, so you can tune in and catch that. We talked about what he is proud of from that Georgia game and stuff like that. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about why the Auburn Tigers are actually the key for Ole Miss hosting a playoff game. That's absolutely weird. Anyway, I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in today, and tune in tonight and tune in tomorrow morning. So take care. Howdy toddy, everyone.